If you appreciate our content, please click the thumbs up button and subscribe to our channel. That will really help us to reach more people. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill and Soulshine Band. Yes. What a great message. You are enough. That is the whole point of our lesson today, to remind us that every human being is enough. But before we get into that, let's review a little bit. We are embarking on our series about the 5 principles that unity has. They are not dogma, but these are the principles upon which we base all of our belief. And last week we explored our first principle. Who remembers it? I'll remind you. There is only one presence and one power in the universe and in my life, God the good omnipotent. Let's say that together. There is only one presence and one power in the universe and in my life, God the good omnipotent. All right, very good. Today we're going to delve into our second principle, which is our essence is of God, and therefore we are inherently good. And this God essence was fully expressed in Jesus the Christ. Now, this is kind of an edgy principle. It's a little different than you will hear in traditional Christianity because it negates the doctrine of original sin. Instead of being born in original sin, which, by the way, is nowhere in the Bible, just in case you didn't know that, we embrace the idea of original blessing. Original blessing. That implies that every individual ever born, regardless of religion or anything else, carries that divine spark within them. We call it the Christ essence. And that Christ essence reflects our innate goodness. So our lesson today then is we're going to be looking at the theological foundations of this, the scriptural support, and the practical application of it. Because we are all about practical spirituality. How do we take these ideas, these principles, and put them into action and practice in our daily lives? So let's dive into it. Again, central to Unity's theology is the belief that there is an inherent divinity and goodness in every single human being. Now, as I said, that contrasts with what most of us grew up being taught, that we were born in sin. Or if we weren't born in it, we acquired it somehow. Somebody gave it to us. And so a whole theology was built around this idea of overcoming original sin, and yet that's not what Jesus taught. That's not what any spiritual teacher taught, nor is it scriptural. I like what Charles Fillmore wrote. Charles Fillmore wrote this about Jesus. God is not a person who has set creation in motion. Oh, no, I'm sorry. I'm not there yet. This is about God. God is not a person who has set creation in motion and gone away to let it run down like a clock. God is spirit, infinite mind, the immanent force and intelligence everywhere manifest in nature, and God's nature is good. So the first step is realizing that God is not some old guy out there with a beard that pops in every now and again to check on us or decides whether he likes us or not, depending on how good we are. God is an omnipresent force that is within all creation, and the nature of that force is what? Good. All right, you guys got it. This is backed up by Scripture. In Genesis 1:27, at the very beginning, it says, "So God created humankind in his image. In the image of God he created them. Male and female he created them." Now, many of us remember when we were little, we all thought God looked like us, right? Because we're created in his image. He's even on the Sistine Chapel. But that's not what it means. When it says the image and likeness of God, that image and likeness is the image and likeness of wholeness, of goodness, of perfection, of everything good. So that implies, again, that there's an inherent goodness in all of creation, an inherent divinity in all of creation. In Luke, it says this, the kingdom of God is within you. This statement by Jesus the Christ suggests that that divine realm is eternal, and yet at the same time resides in every individual. Later on, Paul in Corinthians wrote, "Do you not know that you are God's temple and that God's Spirit dwells in you? You are God's temple, and God's Spirit dwells in you." This was a radical teaching in Jesus' day because they grew up with the idea that God was in the inner sanctum of the temple in Jerusalem and nowhere else. And only one person could ever commune with God. And Jesus said, no, God's not in that building. It's a building. God is in you. Not only can you commune with God, God is in you. God is expressing as you. We also recognize that Jesus was the full example, the full expression of that divinity, that divine essence. But we do not see Jesus as the exception, but as the exemplar of human potential. Jesus was the model. He realized who he was. He realized who everybody else was. And he took that on and he showed us the truth about who we are. He embodied the Christ consciousness, the divine essence that we believe exists in everybody. So his life serves as a model of that expression. Remember what he said. Truly I tell you, everyone who believes, in the modern Bible it says in me, in the original scriptures it said, everyone who believes me will do the works that I do and do even more than this. And yet, from the moment after he died on, we heard the message, oh, you are not worthy. Only Jesus was perfect. Only Jesus could do what Jesus did. You'll never get there. And yet that's not what he taught. And that's not what we believe. We believe that we are all embodying that Christ potential. And our journey, our job, our purpose in this life is to realize that to a greater and greater and greater degree until finally we get it as Jesus got it. This implies the same capabilities that Jesus had are accessible to all human beings. So as I said, these ideas are in almost exact opposition to traditional teaching. It's original sin versus original goodness or original blessing. We are not inherently sinful due to the fall of Adam and Eve or anyone else. Have you ever really thought about that whole idea about Eve brought about the fall of humanity because she ate the fruit of the tree of knowledge? If you read that story carefully, God only told Adam not to eat it. He never said a word to Eve about it. So Eve, women, you're off the hook. Finally. You should never have been on it. In Unity, we teach original goodness. We believe that all people are inherently good because they are expressions of the divine. Herman Bavinck, a theologian, stated this: the essence of human nature is its being is the image of God. And only humanity in its entirety, the fully finished image, the most telling, it's hard to say, striking likeness of God, will be the embodiment of the Christ. So his idea was the second coming, the embodiment of the return of the Christ, is when we as a species get it and accept it. His holistic view of humanity was the image of God in complete and full expression here on earth. He said, our essence is of God, therefore we are inherently good. We're inherently good. Every great teacher said the same thing. And it aligns even with science. One of the things that Keith Giles got me interested in was the idea that modern science is backing up these ancient teachings. In quantum physics, we are taught that everything is connected at a fundamental level. There is no separation. There is no point where I end and you begin, or I end and that piano begins, or I end and a galaxy out there begins. We are all connected. As I said last week, think about the very word universe. One verse, one song, one creation. In quantum entanglement, when particles interact, they become entangled and they affect each other instantly, even over massive distances. And the unified field theory suggests that all matter and all energy arise from a single underlying field. Now, for those of you who are not scientific, what is that telling us? That there's only one thing, and everything emerges from that one thing. And that one thing, we can call it principle, we can call it the quantum field, or we can call it God. It doesn't matter. Our essence is of God. We are not separate from it. We are an expression of it. David Bohm, a quantum physicist, said this: at the deepest level of reality, everything is interconnected. Wholeness is the ultimate reality. What if we really got that? Would we treat each other differently? Would we treat the earth differently if we really understood that that was part of us and we were a part of it? We have this idea that we are separate from creation, outside of it, observing it, controlling it, trying to anyway. And that has probably been the root cause of most of our problems with each other, with our environment, with our planet, with ourselves. David Bohm's theory of the implicate order says this: the visible world unfolds from a deeper, invisible source of unity. And now I can't say that word. Similar to spirit or God. You don't have to be able to speak good to be a minister. Charles Fillmore, the co-founder of Unity, wrote, God is not a being or a person, but a definite principle, the very mind that is in us. So just as the quantum field is the unseen source of all form, Unity teaches us that God is the invisible source of all form. Different words, same idea, same theory. Inherent goodness is part of the quantum potential. In quantum theory, a particle state exists in a state of pure potential. It's not bad. There is no bad anywhere in the universe until it's observed. And the observer then creates how it interacts, how it gives forth form. That's known as superposition in science. And spiritually, it reflects the idea that within each human being is unlimited divine potential waiting to be realized or observed through our consciousness. So everything begins in God, and divine mind is filtered through our consciousness. We give it form, and we can give it form in alignment with divine ideas or not. That's where free will comes in. There's a quantum physicist and mystic named Amit Goswami who proposes that consciousness, not matter, is primary. Consciousness is the primary form of the universe. We believe that spirit or consciousness is the true essence of reality. Myrtle Fillmore said this: each one of us is a radiating center of the light and power of God, and that light is what? Good. Good, you're getting it. In this way, we understand that goodness is not something we have to achieve. It is our natural state. Our natural quantum state is an expression of divine potential. And it is good. All right. So bringing it back into theology, how does this apply to Jesus? Well, Jesus is seen as the full expression of the divine quantum field. I like that. Eric Butterworth said this: the Christ is not a person. It is a degree of potential that is available in all of us. Jesus, though, discovered it and became it. Now, quantum physics does not use the word Christ, but it does suggest that all matter arises from a field of energy that is good. So we can call that field, if we want, the Christ. And Jesus can be seen as someone, I love this, fully entangled with the divine field. What would it be like to be fully entangled with the divine field? To be a part of that? Well, guess what? You are. I am. They are. It's all part of one creation. So the quantum field then is not a thing. It is the source of all things. That's what Dr. Joe Dispenza says. If God is the source of all, and Jesus was the fully aware embodiment of that all, and the example of that all for all of us, then that fits right within our framework. So if you want to compare the two unity principles in quantum science, you could say, in unity, we are of God. In quantum science, all things arise from a unified field. In unity, we are inherently good. In quantum science, potential exists in a pure, unified state. In unity, Jesus is a divine expression. In science, embodied realization of the field's full potential. So what we're doing is not trying to make quantum science a religion, but to show that it's all one thing. Different ways of saying it. We are part of a vast, intelligent, interconnected reality, and the potential for divine expression is already within us. It's not something we have to go out and get. In fact, you can't. It's already in you. So what does this mean practically? How do we recognize our divine principle, our divine nature, and embrace the belief and the understanding and the realization, which is making it real in our awareness, of our inherent divinity? And how does that impact us? Well, first, it gives us the potential for self-empowerment. Recognizing the divine within us fosters this consciousness of self-worth and confidence, which encourages us to live authentically and purposely. Now, you may say, well, that sounds a little selfish. What about everybody else? Well, we can realize it in ourselves. We can see it in each other. But we have to be able to see it in ourselves first. That's why Jesus said, love your neighbor as yourself. You can't love your neighbor if you don't love yourself, and you can't love yourself if you don't love your neighbor. It's one thing, one unified field. It allows us to have compassion. When we see others as expressions of divine potential, we can come from a place of empathy, of compassion, and a sense of interconnectedness. We understand that when one person is suffering, we all suffer. That reduces prejudice. It reduces conflict. And of course, it empowers our ability to grow spiritually. Acknowledging our divine nature motivates us to engage in spiritual practices that cultivate inner peace and alignment, which then encourages us to go out and be socially responsible, understanding that our shared divinity inspires us towards social justice, towards environmental stewardship, and toward the betterment of humanity as a whole. In other words, I believe, and I'm not the only one, I hope someday you'll join us, that this is the answer to all of our problems. If we really got this, it would solve every human problem. And the lack of awareness of this, I believe, is the cause of all human problems. So in conclusion, our second principle offers a transformative perspective of our human nature, shifting our focus from the idea of sinfulness to inherent goodness, recognizing the divine essence that is in every human being, encouraging us to live lives of purpose, lives of compassion, lives of spiritual fulfillment. It allows us to follow the example of Jesus the Christ, fully expressing our inner divinity, contributing to the realization, again, that means making it real, the realization of harmonious and loving people and a harmonious and loving world. We are not here by accident. You are not here by accident. Not here in this room today or on Facebook if you're watching us on live or on the planet. You are not here by accident. You are a child of the divine. The Christ within you is real. And like Jesus, you are being called. You are being called to bring that essence into divine expression. So as we go forth this week, ask yourself, how would I live if I really believed I am divine? That's a big leap for many of us because we grew up in a tradition, in a religion, a theology that said you are anything but divine. I'm here to tell you, you are divine. That's what Jesus said. That's what Buddha said. That's what Muhammad said. That's what every great teacher said. You are divine. How would you live if you really knew that? And how would you treat others if you knew they too were fully divine? And what would you stop tolerating? And what will you start creating? Think about that. What am I going to start creating in the world today, this week? Can I be that energy of change, of shift? And the answer to that is yes, of course you can. And all you have to do is realize the truth about yourself. And then you see it about each other. So let us walk together as those who know our divine nature and live from it boldly, joyfully, and with great love.